everybody, happy Saturday. Me, Mr. Menefee with Pinpoint. Y'all know today we're doing our Pinpoint podcast. We normally do it every single Wednesday, but our guest, we had to accommodate him because we shift things around for our guests. That's special. Which y'all know with Pinpoint, all guests are very special. This is a very special guest to me, near and dear to me. He's my brother from another mother as well. I love to interview people who has faced trials and tribulations, adversities in their life. And this young man has done that in his life, coming out of Brooklyn, New York. So we're gonna talk to him. His name is Mr. Shamik Timothy Reid, you know, AKA Shamik, my main man. You know, so that's what we're gonna talk about today. His meal of choice, he's a simple guy. What we're doing today, of course y'all know, for all our guests, we like to feast with them, to get to know them, get to comfortable, being real comfortable with them, and this is what they are today. So we out here on this beautiful Saturday, a little cloudy, but it's still a beautiful day because we living, right? So anyway, today what we doing is Chef JL's famous boudin, straight from Houston, Texas. All right, and we got some smoked chicken. So we're doing some smoked things today. A couple other things we're gonna be putting on the inside. But again, y'all know with Pinpoint Podcast, all things always real estate. He have purchased homes, did things in the past, and we're just gonna talk about with him about the things that he did and doing very well today after the things that he's gone through his life. Hey, y'all know me, Mr. Menefee, and we're here to talk about at the Pinpoint Podcast, like all things real estate. But today, this gentleman is going to tell you something about his past and talk about the things that's going on in today's world. Hey, stay tuned. Pinpoint Podcast. Out. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pinpoint Podcast. And today, Pinpoint Podcast, we hosted it on a Saturday. Saturday to accommodate our special guest today. As you know, with Pinpoint Podcast, all guests are special. But this is a very special guest of mine, just like all of them. Because it's my other brother from another mother coming out. Well, I'm going to let him tell you where he's from. But first, y'all know on Pinpoint Podcast, we always got to give a toast. And the toast is for just being here. We thanking them for coming out and gracing us with their presence on our podcast and talk about things that we hope somebody out there can hear from. Hey, you know it's all things real estate. Pinpoint Podcast.
No doubt.
Now for to introduce y'all to Mr. Reid. And Mr. Reid, why don't you tell them where you from, give them your name and where you from, and then we jump into the podcast.
All right. Governor's name, Timothy Reid, well known by Shamik Shorty, from Brooklyn, New York, preferably Red Hook Projects all day.
All day, every day?
All day, every day.
All day, every day.
Red Hook all day.
So let's talk about this here. Shamik, we're going to tell you. Shorty, Shamik.
Whatever's like.
All right, let's go with the Shorty.
All right, because that's the inception of where I come from.
Exactly. So tell us, what brought you down here to from New York all the way here? You from Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn, South Brooklyn, Red Hook Project. Well, you know, it comes from being, you know, engulfed in the streets, you know, being in certain situations and, you know, having done things and stuff like that, it led me to Atlanta. But
right.
I'm trying to figure out, like, what do you mean? Like, what led me here?
What got you here? I mean, you used the word engulfed in the streets. Just kind of elaborate on that, because what we're talking about here is we always talk about everything at the end of real estate, because, you know, we put you in the house, but we'll touch bases with that later. Yeah. But I like to bring the people who watch our podcast about the character of the person we interview and tell us, like you said, engulfed in the streets, what made you make the decision to come here?
Actually, it wasn't even my decision to come to Atlanta, even though I had mad roots in Atlanta that was unbeknownst to me. But I didn't even know that like my grandfather, my mother's dad, is born and raised in Georgia. You know, I think preferably like LaGrange, Georgia. But when I had a situation in Red Hook, and you know, I was on the run and stuff like that. And one of the things my mom told me, she was like, "Yo, you're going to Atlanta." I was like, Atlanta? Like, what am I doing in Atlanta? I don't. Only thing I know about Atlanta is like the South, and I never really thought that, you know, I wasn't really like connected to Atlanta. So
Right.
you know what I mean, I know that my brother, prior to me having a situation, my older brother had a situation. He went to Atlanta. My uncle had a situation. They went to Atlanta. So it was like a exodus of us, like
Yeah,
you know,
kind of like me. I was blessed with the
yeah,
situation, and I came to Atlanta, and I ain't know one soul
So
in
it was
Atlanta.
like you get in trouble, you get shipped to Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was just like that was the thing to do. Like in New York, you know, everybody have roots in the South. So anytime you get into any type of situation, the first thing that your parents probably would say, like, "Oh, you going down south?" Because like just to think back when we was coming up, excuse me, when we was coming up, you know, used to go to the south for the summer. So you know, naturally, you know, your roots is, you know what I'm saying, the origin, or you know what I'm saying, the inception of who you are comes from
Right.
the south.
Because everybody from the South went up north.
Went up north. The
When it was
exodus,
slavery
exactly,
and running,
like
everybody wanted to try to
Detroit,
get up north.
you know what
Right.
I'm saying, as far as the you know what I'm saying, Detroit, the exodus during that time. So when you get in trouble, the first thing your mom said, "Yo, you going to where their roots are from," and my roots are from Georgia. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Preferably Atlanta. I already
Right.
had my uncles and my brothers down here, so when I got into a situation, she was like, "Yo, you know, you
Go to-
might want to think about going to Atlanta."
So when you got up and got to Atlanta, you put your 2 feet on this Georgia soil.
Exactly.
Tell me what was your thought and said, what I need to do to make money. I know you said you was engulfed in the streets and
Exactly.
you living a much better life now, but let's talk about how one get in the streets, because you know a lot of people, a lot like today in today's world, you see a lot of entertainers act the street life. A lot of, I don't know if they've been in the streets or not, but a lot of them
Most
is
of them
act
not.
right. Most of them, they if not, they act like they in streets. Everybody want to act hard. Everybody want to be a gangster. But that's a life that when you born into it, it's kind of like
Exactly.
you adapted, and then you got to make a name for yourself. So
Exactly.
you got a name for yourself in Red Hook, Brooklyn,
Exactly.
one of the toughest projects in the state of New York, right?
Exactly.
And then you come down here on this soil, but you had brothers. Unlike me, I ain't have a soul.
Exactly.
What you say now, what you gonna do? Because right now, at this point, you young, in your early 20s.
Exactly.
What I'm gonna do? You still engulfed in the streets, still with the same mentality.
When it was crazy because like when my mom told me that like I need to consider coming to Atlanta. You know what I mean? You know, mind you, I'm on the run. I'm moving around Brooklyn and Manhattan or whatever. I got friends that's, you know, kind of like, you know, allowing me to kind of like, you know, stay there, you know what I'm saying? But they have their own situations and stuff like that. So, and it wasn't conducive to me being in the position that I was in. So it was more haphazard because they dealing with whatever they dealing with because they're in the streets just as well. So it's not like I'm going to somebody's house that's, you know, a law-abiding citizen and stuff like that. I'm going to somebody else's house that's also in the streets. So it's not like I'm going from being
From worse to better.
worse to
It's
better. I'm
from
going
worse to worse, if not equal.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going from worse to equal. You know what I mean? Because they have a situation, and then they're home just as well. So I felt like, oh my God, this is not.
So, but now you're here in Atlanta. The occupation? You know, we got to generate some income.
No. Just to go back a little bit. So prior to once my mom told me that I need to consider this situation in order for me not to get caught up in the streets in New York, I travel here. Me, my brother, and a best friend of mine, we travel here. We come down, we drive, and we come down. We kind of like, you know, see what it is about and stuff like that. Prior to me even considering it, I had to come and see what it was about. So once I came, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. So I go back home, I come back. And when I come back, you know, I get with my uncles and them. Come on, these are the guys that I really actually looked up to from street
Right.
politics and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, okay, these dudes is kind of like moving around as if they was in Queens because they from Queens and I'm from Brooklyn. So, you know, we should, you know, everybody used to go back and forth. They'd come to Brooklyn and I'll go to Queens and such, you know, in certain situation. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna try this out. You know what I mean? It beats going to jail for 25 years. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna always entertain anything outside of going to prison. You know what I'm saying? So I came down. I stayed for a little while. You know, I left.
Do you stay in the streets though?
No. I don't necessarily get into the streets because I'm on the run. I can't get into the streets like
Okay.
that. I can't move around as if I'm not on the run. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like taking the information. It's more about taking the information because it's new to me. I'm not familiar with the South. I've never been to the South.
Right.
And had I been to the South, it was unbeknownst to me because I probably was a little dude or whatever. But I've never been to the South, so now as a young adult, I have to take in the information. I gotta actually see how my uncles are moving because, you know, the way you move in New York doesn't really necessarily mean you're gonna move like that in the South. You can move in New York as a general and be in the South as a lane.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to see really, truthfully, how they was moving because Brooklyn dudes don't move like Queens dudes. It's just, you know, even though you're in these 5 boroughs, each borough moves differently.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm a Brooklyn dude, so I'm not gonna move the way a Queens dude move. So when I came down here, I was like, let me see how these dudes is moving prior to me getting involved in them because they could be moving reckless and get me caught up. So I came down here and I kind of like fell back and just took in information and just
Basically, you was doing your math.
facts. I was doing mathematics because, you know, as a young dude, even though I was young at age, I still was receptive to what was going on. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, I haven't been around my uncles in, you know, X amount of years. I still don't, like, even though this is your family and stuff like that, that doesn't mean that once you know, not around them for a certain period of time, you have to get to learn these people again, even though that's your family. You still don't know them. You know, so I got to learn what they was doing. I got to, you know, really learn the environment, and then I adapted to it after going back and forth to New York several times before I said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
And so after you did that, we're gonna go back to the original question.
Exactly.
What you start doing when you jump into the Pinpoint Podcast, baby? You ain't gotta be shy. What you jump into? Because we all gotta go somewhere and figure out how to start making money. Like with me, when I came, when I was blessed out of a situation from Houston, like I say, I had no plans on moving to Atlanta, not at all. I ain't know nothing about Georgia, nothing about Atlanta, no family, no friends, no absolutely nothing. I was gonna move to New York, and my old school said, "Hey man, you too violent for New York, and New York too violent for you." I said, "I'm gonna move to LA."
Exactly.
He said, "You too violent for LA, and LA too violent for you." I said, "What the fuck you mean?" He said, "Man, those are places like Houston, and you a violent nature. You like XYZ.
Exactly.
Ride with me to Atlanta."
And see what it's about.
And yeah, I'm going to pick up my kids. We're gonna be down there for a couple of weeks and just check it out. Now I lived in Houston off of Beach Nut and Corporate Drive at the time. I always had my own place since 17. So what I did from there, came down here, kicked it, seen how it was down in 2 weeks. Oh man, I think I can make it here a lot better because all of my partners and friends started going to prison. You know what I mean? Started getting cases. I had a case where it could have sent me to the joint for 15 to life is what they're looking at. That's why I say I never beat a case. I was blessed. Obviously, God had it dismissed, so I thank God for that. And it's over 30 years ago, so that's when I say I got to get out of Houston.
Exactly.
So when I came down here, kind of like yourself to help you understand, I paid attention, did my math. So I worked at labor pools. See, a lot of people look at me and think, oh, you got this, you got that, but you don't realize I did a lot of sacrifices.
Exactly.
Now, what labor pools are, you go to a labor pool,
And
you
work.
sit
And work.
and hope they pick you.
Exactly.
I was a little guy. I would never get picked. The only reason why I got picked to go out on a job is because I had a car.
Oh, okay.
And I could put other people in the car with me, and I get paid. I think it was back then $6,
Per person.
$6 or $10 per head, whoever I put in my car,
Exactly.
plus whatever they paying
So
me.
you packing them in there.
Exact. You follow me now? Mind you,
Exactly.
I'm straight from the streets,
Exactly.
so I ain't worried about no strangers in the car with me because I'm still this type of person.
Yeah.
But that's what started me understanding Atlanta because they would send me so many different jobs. As a matter of fact, Fifth Plaza, right across from Lennox, that was a job they sent me on for a while. And we was on the roof. And it was real hot. I passed out. It was so goddamn hot. Now, I'm used to making money. I ain't used to doing this shit.
Yeah.
But that was my base of moving around, and that's how I learned Atlanta real good.
But
So that's what I'm saying.
Like-
The money part,
See-
what happens, because we all got a basis because you're doing blessed now.
see,
Let's
like-
talk about from the streets to where you got to.
Okay. Like me, the inception of me coming to Atlanta, I was fortunate enough to, as far as with Brooklyn, that I had brothers. You know what I mean? And what happened?
So you got brothers. Just talk about the money.
No. I'm gonna get to that. You know, everybody that has a situation in New York, when you come down, like far as coming up where I was at, like far as my team, once one leave on a situation, the next one takes over, and then the next one takes care of the person that leaves. So this is the protocol of my family.
Right.
You know what I mean? So once I had to leave, like when we go back to my older brother, my brother Just, you know, once he had to go, he had a situation, he decided not to face it. You know what I'm saying? And it was never questioned.
Right,
He said,
right.
This is not what I'm trying to do. I'm out. So we said, okay, that's what you trying to do. That's what you decide to do. You're gonna be taken care of. Don't even worry about it. When you go to the south, you're gonna we're gonna make sure you're good. You know, and
So the same thing happened for you.
exactly.
So you ain't have to really do nothing because your family tight knit.
There's always somebody who's gonna always take your place. It's just like in life, you know. Once you come to I'm talking about just like in a game, you know, you're gonna always the game. The man at the top is always expendable. You know what I mean? Meaning that when you in a certain situation and your time has surpassed, somebody else is going to take your place. It's the thing about the person that's going to take your place. Are they going to be loyal enough to make sure you're straight? And with my family, that's what we live by. So when I had to leave, my brother took my place. You know what I mean? I left.
It made sure you financially straight out here
Exactly. I left him all my connections.
until you picked up the pace.
Exactly. So when I left, prior to me leaving and stuff like that, I made sure that all the connections that I had, I bestowed it upon him. And I told him like, yo, do your thing. This is what I need from you monthly in order for me to not be able to be in a position where I'm at. You know, until I figure out where I'm at and what I'm getting ready to do, I need you to do this for me. But I'm gonna leave you all these connections, and now you're that dude.
Wow,
So-
that's deep because a lot of young men, they don't do that in today's world.
Exactly. Just,
They feel like
yeah.
what allegiance, like the pledge allegiance.
Exactly. So and
Nobody pledged allegiance to their people for real. That show that real loyalty.
And
You follow what I'm saying?
And this comes from years prior to me even dealing with my actual brothers. I came from a lineage of dudes that, you know, like prior to me even getting into the game with my family, I was already on the street doing what I needed to do in order to solidify a situation to where that we were able to do what we can do as a family.
So after you figured all that out, now you place here.
Exactly.
You left your brother with the script.
Exactly.
He followed it to the T, to the letter.
Exactly.
Then now you start putting your feet on the ground.
Exactly.
Now you move it around. I know you used to be out there in the bluff and everywhere else.
Exactly.
How you end up being out there in the bluff, to what took you to where the situation where you end up going to the joint and all that, to coming out who you are.
All right.
So how long was you here before you say, okay, now I'm ready to rock? Even though that situation was still on your head.
It's crazy because, like, you know, when I came down here, my Uncle Born and my Uncle Matt, I give mad credit to these, they solidified dudes. They down here, they maneuvering, you know, since the like 80s, 87. My Uncle Matt came down here in like 86, 85, 86. And
You ain't take no sip of your drink, you ain't take your hookah. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Get relaxed.
I'm trying to tell you the inception of the evolution, not the inception, the evolution of where I'm at today and why I think the way I think,
Right.
why I move the way I move today. You know what I mean? I'm comfortable with it. You know what I mean? And I'm happy, and I'm definitely, like, you know what I'm saying, not tripping. But my Uncle Mav came down in like 85, 86 to Atlanta. Then prior to him coming down, after he touched down to Atlanta, my Uncle Born came down after he did his bid up in New York. He went upstate. He had a situation in Queens, went upstate, came home. Math already had a little situation down here, so Born came down. You know what I mean? Then 92, my brother.
1992.
1992. Yeah, then my older brother had a situation in Red Hook, and he decided to come down too. So it was just like a, you know, like a domino effect.
Right,
You get fucked up in the PJs. Like, this is my family, not the neighborhood. This is our thing. You
Right.
get fucked up, you go to Atlanta.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is what my mother, like, literally told me. Like, yo, you going to Atlanta? Because this is what she, this is her. This is her evolution. Like, you get fucked up, you go down south.
So this is like the hub for you to rejuvenate and go back and kind of decide what it is you really want to do or trying to do.
Exactly. So I get down here, you know, I'm moving somewhat strategically because my thing, the situation that I have in New York is bad. You know what I mean? I can't make no mistakes. If I make a mistake, I'm going to get extradited or what have you and face whatever I had to face in New York. But in the process of that, you know, my uncles and them down here, when I do realize and do the math, these niggas is not no slouch niggas in Atlanta. They like really moving around, you know what I mean? So once I got out here, I kind of like watched them, how they move. It's crazy because it took me like about a year before I even really said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
Right. Okay.
This is way beyond where I come from, and then the money is just fucking bananas.
Right.
And you know the level of the how can I say it? The as far as dangerous, it's not that dangerous.
Like it was back in Red Hook.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't have to be as violent as I was in Red Hook or be engulfed because you know Red Hook is just like a cesspool. You know, it's just a given. Summertime is gonna be war. Wintertime is gonna be war regardless. You know what I mean? It's whether you're up to war or not. You know what I mean? And you gotta be so strategic in where I come from. Like you can't be where I come from and not be ready for war. You hustle to get ready for war. Meaning that.
And ain't that something right there where you say, a lot of people don't understand, go back to the entertainers today and everybody.
Exactly.
You hustle to make money, to get the women, to get the materialistic items, but at the same time, you gotta always be understanding, be ready for war.
Facts.
Now the word peace is nowhere in there associated, affiliated, concentrated, or nothing with what your life is at that point. So now you here from Red Hook. You paid attention. You out here for a year. All right, my uncle and them got this popping. I got a case still pending over my head, but at this point, I'm ready to go ahead and test the water, put my pinky toe, put my big toe in the water, in the pool. You know how when you get ready to dive in the pool,
Exactly.
you keep testing it and testing it till somebody say, man, drop your ass in the goddamn pool, because what's going to happen, your body temperature is your body temperature is going to adjust to the temperature of the pool.
Exactly.
It ain't that the pool done got warm, it's just that your body adjusted, and a lot of people don't have to understand it. So now that adjustment is here. Now, here it is. What made you Shorty of the South? Not Shorty of the South as in, oh, I'm taking over the South,
No.
but just now Shamik down here.
Incorporated myself.
Right.
It's a different total environment. Because what I did, actually what we did was, because I'm not going to take no credit for something that I just came and did it myself. What we did was my uncle Mav, he was always in the street. He knew who was who and what was what. So at one particular time, you know, when I came down here, my uncle was security for the flea markets. Old National Flea Market, 5 Point Flea Market, Greenbrier Flea Market. So these is where all the people that's doing things are going to. You know,
Right.
Forget Gold Teeth. From Gold Teeth, now mind you, you're dealing with an environment that's literally, when I came down here in 91, 92.
1991.
1991, like, literally, you're dealing with an environment that is literally 15 removed from where you're from. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Now, you know, you're talking about gold teeth, and like, we was wearing gold teeth in like 81, 82. They doing gold teeth and being so enamored by it in the 90s. Like, we like, yo, bro, we was doing gold teeth in like 82. So they are so far removed from us that
Y'all always, New York and LA always been more advanced.
exactly.
With marketing and everything
Exactly.
else, from the streets
Exactly.
to the marketing and
Exactly.
all that.
It doesn't mean the imminent danger is not as conducive to other predominant cities like New York, Houston, Chicago, Brooklyn,
New Orleans.
New Orleans. These other cities. It's just that they're not monetarily advanced, meaning that, you know, gold teeth here at that particular time in 91, 92,
1900.
you got to
1900.
they getting gold teeth in 91, 92. We was getting gold teeth in 81, 82. So they are literally 10 years removed. So me coming into this environment, I'm looking like, okay, these dudes is not as
Advanced.
advanced. So my danger, like the level of aggression, I don't have to put forth as much because these dudes is not as advanced as I am. And my uncles have been here before, so they guided me through certain situations. So what made me go to the situation as far as going back to the street was my uncle actually was working as a bouncer at on Gabi Road, Playboy Palace. Remember that shit?
Right, of course.
And you know, all the celebrities used to come through there and stuff like that. I remember at times I'm sitting in there, you know, actually on the run. I'm sitting in there, 2 shorties in a booth with 90 chicks and stuff like that. And me and my brother Preem, we go in there and we just like, yo, look at this shit, bro. Like, yo, it's Atlanta, and we seeing like real celebrities. So I'm like, okay, cool. So one particular time, a situation transpired where my uncle had met a certain individual, and my uncle, you know what I'm saying, had dealt with this individual, and then with the blessing that he was bestowed upon, he was given.
We call that blessings.
Yeah, we call that blessings at the time.
Yeah.
You know,
That could have been the curse, but in our mind, fixated minds, it was blessings.
No, I call it the blessing because it led me to where I'm at today. Had that not transpired, I don't know where I would be at today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because even though it was you could say a negative blessing, because all negative blessings doesn't mean.
Nah, I know. That was just.
No. I'm not. This is nothing. I'm just saying that was the inception of where it led me to where I'm at today. Because dude blessed my uncle, and my uncle blessed another dude, and the dude was in the bluff that he blessed my uncle.
Right.
And the dude didn't hold fast to what he had to do. He didn't handle his business. So.
So that situation, we're gonna pause in and take a break.
Okay.
So that situation right there, that you call a blessing, started you to say, okay, I'm gonna start making me some money here, and take that position.
No. I looked at my uncle and make the money. I didn't make the money.
No. I'm just saying at some point you start making the money.
Yeah, I did, because then I started actually becoming a factor into the situation. But then the inception of the situation, it was more about my uncle and situation.
Right.
And then they knew the players in the game. I didn't know nobody. I'm just here on a run. I'm just moving around trying to stay safe.
Right.
You know what I mean? In the process, I'm trying to see what I can do in order for me not to go back to Brooklyn.
Right.
Because I know going back to Brooklyn is not going to be a good situation to me.
Right. So with that situation right there, we're going to take us with Pinpoint Podcast. We're going to come back and finish talking to Mr. Shorty, Mr. Shot Me. And we're going to get into the street, from him going to the streets, going to the joint, coming back home, becoming a person, and morph into the better man that he is to this day. And that's what this is about. Telling you how you start here, but how you want to become a better person.
Exactly.
Not when you ain't never been here, you blessed with this money, and then you start acting gangster, start want to be in the streets, when really it's kind of working backwards. Right? All right, with Pinpoint Podcast, we're going to take 5.
Introducing to you Pinpoint Foundation's Real Estate Lounge, a unique experience in all things real estate and other business ventures. Pinpoint is an expansive company that is driven to put our customers' best interests first in all aspects. From commercial and residential real estate representation, where we do closings here at the office, to our 501c3, mentoring and nonprofit events, filming productions, and courier services, come let Pinpoint point you in the right direction and experience business better than you have before. We're not a regular real estate company, we're a cool real estate company. Visit us on our websites, pinpointbrokers.net and pinpointfoundation.org, and check us out on our social media platforms. Pinpoint Foundation is always accepting donations through Zelle to Pinpoint Foundation or through mail-in checks. See you soon!
All right, everybody, me, Mr. Menefee, back here with Shorty on Pinpoint Podcast. Now, here we go. Now, we left off everybody on basically talking about how Timothy, a.k.a. Shorty, a.k.a. Shami, came down from Brooklyn, New York, out of Red Hood Projects, on the run, got with his uncles, started paying attention to the situation, and him and his family tight-knit, understanding when one person is in trouble, they do what family and friends supposed to do. They look out for each other monetarily, which a lot of people don't do. But what I want to touch bases on, let's go back to Brooklyn before we come back to Georgia. What got you, as the word you used, I like, engulfed? What got you engulfed in the streets? What led you to a life of crime? Because, like I share with people all the time, racism. Racism is not is a learned, taught behavior, not a born behavior. So when you see people that's racist, you got to have an understanding of the background where they come from. And that background, in that home, they was taught, in their surroundings, they was taught to hate a particular race, to despise a particular race. Now let's go back to Red Hood. You ain't just grow up engulfed in the streets as you stay.
Exactly.
Tell us how you got in the streets. What started your street life, and then let's jump back into Georgia. Give me 5 on that.
All right. The inception of me getting engulfed in the streets was due to the fact that I grew up in a disenfranchised setting. It was generational stagnation. My great grandmother, my great grandmother, my grandmother, my grandmother is a descendant from St. Vincent, and my grandfather was born and raised here in LaGrange, Georgia. And my grandfather, it's crazy because my grandfather had a situation here in Georgia was that he was working. This is what's been told to me. The validity of it is still questioned, but this is what was told to me, that he was working at a gas station, and a white guy come to the gas station, wanted him to pump the gas. He didn't. He couldn't. Back then, you're talking about the 50s and 60s. Even though you work at a gas station in the rural South, you can't do certain things. And one of the particular things that he couldn't do was pump the gas. So, he was.
You couldn't pump gas?
No, you couldn't pump the gas. You had to have the actual owner or whoever was in charge to come out and pump the gas. You know what I mean? So.
Rough times back then.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
We don't know how blessed we got.
Exactly. Facts. So, this one particular dude, white guy, was telling my grandfather, yo, pump the gas. And my grandfather was like, I can't do that. Like, you know what I mean? I got to go get the owner, or you know what I'm saying, whomever was in charge at that particular time to pump the gas. So this one gentleman, I guess, was getting real belligerent or whatever, and was trying to force my grandfather into, pumping the gas. So my grandfather didn't do it. So, one thing led to another. My grandfather put hands, elbows, and feet on him. Facts.
Right.
And,
hands, elbows, and feet?
Hands, elbows, and feet. Facts. My grandfather didn't even play games. So, with that being said, that, at that particular time, you have any type of indiscretions or, not indiscretion, but any type of interactions with negative interactions with white people in the rural South, first thing that your family thinking that, yo, you got to get out of here because they're gonna lynch you. You know what I mean? And my grandfather's brother had got lynched in Florida on a fishing trip. You know what I mean?
Right.
In the road, just going to get bait for a fishing trip. He went into the wrong bait shop or what have you, and they lynched him. So I'm thinking that from my information, I'm thinking that my grandfather was like, I'm not gonna allow this to happen to me as it happened to my brother. So my grandfather did what he had to do. So my grandfather's mom, my great grandmother, was like, yo, you're gonna go up to Harlem with your aunt. And so they shipped him out, and then in the process of that, my grandmother was in St. Vincent, and she didn't really know who her dad was, because during that time it was a lot of racial and slavery things going on. And my great grandmother, my grandmother, and my great uncle Edward, they came down to the States through Governor's Island, and they settled in New York. And my grandmother and my grandfather actually met each other, and they had 13 kids.
13?
13, yeah. And my mother is the eldest, outside of my Aunt Catherine, who had passed away at a young age due to a car accident. And my mother became the eldest of all 13 kids, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and you're dealing with times where things...
Miss Yoon, shout out to Miss Yoon.
Yeah, she the queen. She became the queen of all queens, and still is that to this day. But you're dealing with disenfranchised evolution, and that goes back to your question about what started me. Like, we was living in Bed-Stuy prior to us moving to South Brooklyn, bro, and you know, it just is rough, you know. And
In the projects.
in the project,
Well,
my mother,
food was slim.
yeah,
Everything was slim.
everything.
Cause there's how many brothers you got?
Three brothers. There's four of us, and I'm the youngest out of all four of us.
Right.
And my brothers was really and truthfully like my brother Justice and my brother Friend. They lived in Queens more so than Brooklyn prior to us moving from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn to Red Hook, and they was always in Queens. And then eventually my mom went back and got them because prior to that we lived in Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. Because my father was a hustler. You know what I mean? He was hustling in New Haven and stuff like that.
So it's in you, it ain't on you.
No, it's in me. Like my dad was that dude. You know what I mean? Prior to him passing away, he didn't know. He was surprised who I turned out to be. But unbeknownst to him, I'm like, my thing is that you can't be surprised who I am because I'm just a reflection of you. Kids are like what I always know that kids emulate what they see. You know what I mean? I grew up with 7 uncles, 3 brothers. That's 10 dudes. And then
And everybody hustlers.
yeah, everybody hustles. They street because this is the hand that they was dealt.
But hustlers, as you say, engulfed in the streets.
Yeah, not necessarily street stuff because they didn't start off with street stuff. My uncles used to go out and sell T-shirts, cassette tapes, and stuff like that in Manhattan. You know what I mean? I had one particular cousin that he was a chain snatcher, and this dude, like, he literally would go out and, like, in the back, like, when he came and lived with us in Red Hook, my cousin Eddie, he's doing well right now to this day. But this dude would go and run, like, 5 to 6 miles every morning. Like, literally, get up 6 in the morning and go to the stadium in the back of my projects, and he'll run 5 to 6 miles a day and then go in Manhattan and snatch jewelry. This guy could have literally been on a track team in any of his schools.
Right.
He could have been like the
look.
modern day Usain Bolt. I promise you, this dude was a fast
But look,
I know.
it's funny that you say that because I
Exactly.
talked about on one of the podcasts about hustlers, and then you just talked about your cousin running.
Exactly.
I used to get up and run from where I'm from the VA out of Houston, Texas, South Park. I would get up and run from the VA, for those who know Houston, from the VA office of Linsky and McCowell, in between the two. Run all the way down to Reid Road, and sometimes I run all the way down right to 610. And that's a long way, about 5, 6 miles, not a lot longer. And run back, just jog.
Exactly.
Even though I was this other type of person, I always kept my endurance up, and I always kept myself up in shape. Cause I was even when I was in the 9th grade, I remember our Coach Walker, God bless his dad. I ran track, varsity, long distance, and I ran varsity hurdles.
Exactly.
Now I'm a short dude running hurdles,
Exactly.
and I ran long distance because that's what I did. I always trained myself for endurance.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So,
It's just funny that you say that. And I sacked groceries
Exactly.
and sold candy for the guy who used to come over there to the VA where I'm from, Vicious Animals, which really was called Villa Americana, but we called it VA Vicious Animals. And for a long time, I did not know it was actually, the name of the project was Villa Americana. We only knew VA, and we always thought it was Vicious Animals.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So, really and truthfully, the inception of me becoming engulfed in hustling as far as drugs was, I came to Red Hook in 1978. I was like 10 years old. We moved from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. This is during, 77 was the blackout in New York, which probably, if you're not from New York, you're probably not going to be familiar with it. But those who are from New York know that this was a time in New York history was like one of the worst times when you talk about as far as, city being so engulfed in, like it was just
Yeah,
bad.
but you was 8 years old, cause
I
we
was 10 years old.
77. No, we was
I was eight, 9 years old.
we 69 babies.
So okay, you
So
got
that's 77.
I'm
We was 8 years old.
I'm 8 years old.
Yeah.
This is 2 years prior to me moving to Rehoboth Project. But we was in the we lived in Best Style from down the street between Halsey and Broadway. And this is during the time when and it's crazy because prior to 77, I can't really recall a lot of stuff that I can say, oh, this happened, this and that. I think my reception starts in 77.
Right, but the introduction to the
I'm
streets.
I'm going back. I'm gonna get to that. So, 77, we moved to Red Hook Projects, and it's crazy because my mother, Carmelo Anthony's mother, and 2 other ladies, they all got accepted to Red Hook Projects during this time. You know what I mean? And I go into public school. You know what I mean? I'm in the 4th grade. You know, and unbeknownst to me, I'm in one of the roughest parts of Brooklyn that I can probably even imagine being in. I'm green. I'm no fighter. I'm none of these things. You know what I mean? That I eventually became. So when I get into school, there's these kids that's like really on some real bully shit, bro. They like really like they already engulfed in just the shit that's going on in the neighborhood, you know. And I grew up in an area where that the mafia was so prevalent that it was just crazy. And my area was the Colombo family, and the Colombo family faction that ran my area was the Gallo family, Crazy Joey Gallo and the Gallo family. So therefore, you know, you gotta incorporate, you know, you're dealing with all these different elements of street life, and also you have the mob that runs everything as far as the piers, everything in my neighborhood was ran specifically by the mob prior to crack. And that's a whole nother element like we can get into. So I'm in public school, I'm in 4th grade, I'm actually being bullied. You know what I mean? By these
You was being bullied?
facts, bro. They used to take my candy like every day.
Right.
So, you know, my mom used to give me like $2 to go to the little, you know, it's like a little candy store right by the school.
Can somebody take some from you now?
Come on, man. Nah, it's crazy. Like, that shit would be bananas. So, I go get my little candy in the morning and go to school, and like these dudes just like literally put a dude on me and press me and take my shit. So this one particular day, I refused to give my shit up. You know what I mean? And I had this fight with this one particular dude. I ain't gonna say his name because I don't want him to feel like no kind of way or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, I handled the dude, and then I actually took his place. So the dude that was
We'll go back to earlier. Say everybody place
exactly. So once
could be replaced.
exactly go back to people gonna be replaced.
Right.
And contingent on the level of danger that you exude. So I replaced this dude. So now I'm in the in crowd.
You wasn't a bully. You didn't become a bully, did you?
Actually, I did. I did become a bully. I was the worst bully probably that, you know what I mean, that probably was out of them because the level of being bullied that I experienced. So I said I have to be even more worse than the person that was bullying me in order for me not to be ridiculed and teased and stuff like that, because I didn't have what, you know, people consider to be like a dope dude at the time. So, you know, I grew up, I this one particular dude named Ditto Williams. He was the actual dude that ran the actual in crowd. So once I, you know, I guess upstaged this one particular dude that took my candy. He was like, yo, come to my house, man. You can come and hang out. So when I get to his house is nothing like my house. I'm living in like literally in the nucleus of poverty. Meaning that, like my mom, you know what I'm saying? My mom was a single parent mom raising 4 kids, 4 boys in the heart of Brooklyn. So, you know, I'm dealing with, you know.
Statue of Liberty right behind y'all.
Facts, you know. We in the heart of the city where it's supposed to be the land of dreams and whatever opportunity. But my mom is struggling. So I go to this one particular dude's house that, you know, he's in the 4th and 5th grade. This dude is riding motorbikes and all this shit, bro. I'm like, how the fuck is you doing this? And I'm over here looking at a 12-inch TV, black and white, with the fucking pliers and a hanger. I'm not understanding that shit. You know, this is like when Scarface come out and all that shit.
Right.
You know, they got Beta. This is Beta. You're a young dude. You don't know what fucking Betamax is, nigga. This is Betamax. This is before VHS tapes. You had a Betamax systems that played all the tapes, all the movies and stuff like that. So I go over his crib, got leather couches, Betamax, and they just living like fucking the what we consider the American dream inside the inner city. So I'm like, how the fuck is these people living like this? And I go home and my mom is like really fucking.
You sharing a room.
Yeah, sharing a room and like it's just bad, bro.
Right.
So as time progressed, I understand what's going on. I'm like, I want to be a part of this because I want to provide for my mother. You know what I mean? So I get engulfed into the situation. And it just left from there. And I was only like 13 years old.
So let me get it right. So the highlight started from you being bullied.
Facts. It always started from there.
Right. Well, no, I ain't never been bullied. So, not always, but I get what you're saying.
I'm saying you had situations where you wasn't the aggressor.
No.
Come on.
No, I'm being honest. This Pinpoint Park, I ain't got no reason to lie to you.
Okay.
But one thing I learned
because
about.
you're right. Everybody's situation is
Yeah.
My exception in the game was.
Yeah. Honestly, I've never.
Bullied, and I became the bully, and I was a Broad Street bully, bro.
Right. And which is where I was gonna go.
I was different with it.
So what I'm saying, in poverty, after you left Best, oh excuse me, you left Best Eye.
Exactly. Came to Rebel.
Gained the bread hook.
Yes.
Got dropped off in the middle of one of the worst schools in Brooklyn. Well, not one of the worst.
It wasn't.
Not dropped off with them. I'm just.
No, I'm just saying. You could say dropped off in the worst part of Brooklyn that I probably couldn't even imagine being dropped off in.
But to your imagining,
Yeah,
right?
I was green as
Right.
green as the grass that was outside.
So after you defended yourself from a bully, you became a bully.
I
then
became part of the bullies.
Became a part of the bully industry, and then got invited to someone's home,
Exactly.
and you seen how they live different than the way you was living, which is what another thing before we go back on what I tell people all the time. In math, a negative plus a negative equals positive.
Exactly.
But in life, negative plus a negative gonna equal a negative, gonna produce a negative that's going to be birth nothing but negativity.
Exactly.
So you in the negative situation again. So now you seeing, wait a minute, they making money. They having things that I ain't never dreamed of having.
Exactly.
I'm thinking this normal life with a black and white TV with a hanger, this is normal. And we doing okay. But you see, you got introduced to a different world.
Another lifestyle.
So now that jump started for whatever they was doing, that jump started you into say, okay, I need to be doing whatever y'all doing to get the things I get, because you know how us young black,
from my mom.
right, how us young black men are. We all talk about things about how we want to take care of our moms, because we see them
That's
in
the
poverty. Like it was
exception
5 of us. I'm the middle child. And you know, we lost my brother. We went to his
Right.
funeral back November 7th.
For
It's a couple of days coming up for 20. Today the 5th. Monday will be 24 months to my brother. So let's toast to Junior.
Exactly. Junior all day, bro.
All day, baby. Toast my big
what
brother.
we gonna do?
Gonna miss him always.
We gotta have
So-
we gotta have to set some balloons up.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
So my sister them do that every year for
Exactly.
both him and my mom, because both of
Exactly.
them unfortunately died with cancer.
Exactly.
But go back to it. I want you to go back to your story. So that's how you got started.
Exactly.
As you say, engulfed
Exactly.
into the beginning of the criminal activities, then with your family. So now let's put you back in Georgia.
Okay.
You back in Georgia. You here for a year. You with your uncles. You see your uncles now move around, agitating the gravity, and then you say, okay, we far advanced, like you said, with the gold teeth. They here using it as a metaphor. Gold teeth we played out 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Now you 10 years ahead, back in 1991, 1992. Now you ready. Okay, I know I'm on the run, but it's not as treacherous with the movement down here in the ATL.
Exactly.
So now, place yourself, let's put you up to the bluff.
Exactly.
The introduction to the bluff obviously came from your uncles.
From yeah, you could say that. Not yeah, you could say that because I didn't know nothing about the bluff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you got your introduction to the bluff.
Exactly.
You go over there like any other king will.
No.
You do. I like to say king.
No,
my
no,
word.
I'm not disputing the king thing, but it wasn't just going in the bluff.
No, it's not going in the bluff. Hit me out, and then you pick up. You go over. You see however you got there. Let's move forward. I think I could do something over here. Cause you know we eat with our eyes. I tell people all the time.
Exactly.
We eat with our eyes on a daily, consistent basis. Whether you in the streets or whether you in business.
Exactly.
Whether you are lazy
see-
or whether you get your
Exactly.
eyes
see-
digest
you see-
what it is that they want to
Exactly.
fill you up.
Exactly.
Them eyes is everything.
Exactly.
So now you seeing.
The
So
eyes
then,
will never deceive you.
It-
The ears will.
right, exactly. The ears will deceive. However, here's you covered in what you see. All right, I want that because that's what we do. We covet. So go from there.
And go. The exception of the bluff was not just going into this situation.
Yeah, I know.
No. What I'm trying to say is that we didn't have. We didn't understand. We knew about the bluff. Like actually, I didn't. I'm not gonna say I did. My uncles then probably knew about the bluff prior to them even getting in the bluff. But the bluff fell in our lap. It wasn't something that we sought out.
But the bluff fell in your lap. You did what you did. Let's jump start. That was the beginning of your demise.
Facts. But let me just tell you, the bluff came about. Let's go back to when my uncle when he was working in the strip club or for the Pinpoint Palace in
Over Gabi.
Gabi Brewer, and he met this one particular individual, and he put him in a situation, and then he put the situation on somebody else that was in the bluff. And the dude didn't hold fast on what he was told he needed to do. So what happened was we took everything that he had in the bluff and put it on freeze, meaning that we just deadened him out, get up out whatever situation, the spot, everything, and we took over that. But we never just went in that situation and started doing what we needed to do. We was always connected through my uncle, to a person that was already in the know in the bluff. He was one of the major figures in the bluff. So we actually worked for him. But unbeknownst to him, that we already had a situation going on, and the situation didn't work out as I once said. So we took the dude's situation, his apartment and everything, and we just kept paying the rent and everything. But we still was working for this one particular dude so we can get to know the area. You know what I mean? In the process, my uncle caught a couple of cases. Actually, he caught his Fed case by us working there. Me and my uncle Bourne was the lookouts for my uncle while he was working for this dude. You see what I'm saying? So we went in this situation as workers, but we was thinking as bosses.
Right.
Why? Because you can't learn nothing now unless you go into as a novice.
In order to lead, you must know how to follow.
Exactly. So we was novices in this situation, and we learned what was going on by being servants to dudes that doesn't understand that we was bosses. We already had our situation set up around the corner. We just didn't just go out there and blatantly do it.
You waited for that opportunity.
Because we understood the danger, bro. The danger was just like the bluff is just something totally, it's a different environment, bro. You know what I mean? And if you think about 91, 92, 93, 94, we was in the bluff from the early 90s into 2000 until I caught my Fed case. You know what I mean?
And what we're going to do, we're catching the Fed case, we're going to pick up, we're going to take 5. But that's one of the things we want to jump into when we come back after this break about speedballing, catching your Fed case and how you stood up to what morphed you to be who you are to this day.
Exactly.
Hey, Pinpoint Podcast, we're going to take 5.
Welcome to the new townhome residence coming soon, Pinpoint Park. These modern luxury units will be located on Butner Road in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, just minutes away from the downtown area and the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. The 7 units will include an open floor plan, rooftop patio, 3 bedrooms with 2 masters, and so many more luxurious details. For more information on Pinpoint Foundation's latest development, please visit pinpointfoundation.org. And for interest in pre-sales, please visit our website, pinpointbrokers.net. We hope your new home awaits you.
All right, everybody. Back to Pinpoint Podcast with Mr. Shorty, Mr. AKA Shamik, and Mr. Reid. So, we're going to pick up where we left off at. What we talked about, the one important thing, what we leading up to, where you say you started in the bluff and everything is about the bluff now. But we're going to speedball. But I want to go back to one thing that I said earlier, you know. Mm-hmm. And the thing about life is about the behaviors.
Exactly.
The thing about life is about our behaviors. But we'll touch back bases with that. Our behavior patterns come through on the way we're raised.
Exactly.
Our behavior patterns come through on the way we was taught.
Exactly.
So you was taught these behavior patterns, and now you in the bluff.
No, can I, the behavior patterns that I was taught is not conducive to the bluff.
No.
I digress.
No. Okay. Here's what I'm saying about the behavior patterns. Mm-hmm. Here's what I'm saying about the behavior patterns. Like I said about racism.
Yeah.
Racism is not. Racism is a learned
behavior.
A learned taught behavior, not a born behavior. Let me say that again.
You're not born with racism.
Hold on. Racism is a learned taught behavior, not a born behavior. So when you see a lot of racist folks, be you white, black, Puerto Rican, whatever, you know, it was taught because you just don't grow up that way.
Right.
So when you see people engulfed in the streets, it's something that got them there.
Exactly.
So when I say a behavior pattern, it starts from whether it was from your bullying
Exactly.
and then digressing and then becoming a bully, then becoming the person who you are. We talk about the behavior patterns and then what got us to change the way we are now. That's what I meant.
Exactly.
So I always like to say have an understanding because a lot of people don't have an understanding. Racism is a learned thought behavior, not a born behavior. Right. So this behavior that we have when we was in the street, it was learned, it was taught, based it off what we seen.
Exactly.
So now you back in the bluff. So talk about you in the bluff and let's give 5 on it and speedball it.
Okay. Being in the bluff, and you know, when I can look back at the disparities of being in the bluff and being in Brooklyn, it's 2 different worlds. You know what I mean? I say it's 2 different worlds because the monetary value of being in the bluff is not even conducive with being in New York. Because you got to think, I'm going from making, say what, $5,000 a week to $10,000 a day, even more than that. You
Right.
know what I mean? Contingent on if I'm going to calculate whatever else is transpiring around me with everybody else that's making money with me. Because every dollar that's made doesn't necessarily is not going to be my dollar because I wasn't a selfish dude. You know what I mean? Meaning that I came from a situation where it's that, you don't feed the wolves going to eat off of you. So every dollar that I made, it doesn't necessarily.
What would we call that? Profit sharing.
Exactly.
You made sure you mastered the art of profit sharing.
Exactly, because I came from a selfish environment, whereas that, you got one particular dude that want to, generate all the revenue and then just feed them, a certain aspect of whatever he generated. And, contingent on what motivates the person. Sneakers might motivate this person, a motorcycle or a car, you know what I mean? But not generational wealth. I learned here in Atlanta that, you have to be, it's just, everybody have a part to play. You know what I mean? And when you play this part, whatever part that you play is still going to be conducive to equal level of respect. You know what I mean? Because just because you go pull a car up, that don't mean that you don't have the respect of the person that's bringing in the illegal drugs. It depends on who's pulling the car up.
Right. Let's talk about pulling the car up. Let's talk about being advanced, and let's talk about you making the money. Let's fast advance here.
Exactly.
All right, you back in the bluff.
Mm-hmm.
You start making money.
Exactly.
You morphed into the person you was gonna be. We understand how it got there. Got there from your uncle with the introduction. Now your uncle's introduction. Now, here we are. You making money. Now you ready for real estate. Exactly. You ready for your high-end cars. Exactly. Even though you still under assumed name. Exactly. Even though you still on the run. Comfortability have sat in at this point. Exactly. You're comfortable with what's going on now. And almost comfortable to a point to where I always say people who lie to themselves. And the master of it is, in order for you to be able to deceive, you got to believe what you tell yourself. So the art of deception, you deceive yourself, and then it's able for you to kick it out as if the theory is true. Because in your mind, you done rehearsed it, you done said it so much to where it's true. So now you are this person. You are Shamik.
Exactly.
You are this person. Now Shamik started buying real estate because Pinpoint Podcast is all about real estate.
Exactly.
Your first house.
Actually, it's crazy because when you talk about my first house was vicariously through my brother with you. You know what I mean? Once I see my brother Chuck acquire his first real estate, I was like, wow. You know what I mean? He told me about it. He said, yo, I met this guy. I was like, well, word? He said, yeah, I met this guy. He's doing real estate. So I was like, oh, word. Now, mind you, coming from Brooklyn, you know, we're not raised and enlightened about, you know, credit and real estate and these things that, you know, is a major intricate part of your life in order for you to progress in life. You know, credit is a major aspect. You know, a lot of people you can't. You know, a lot of things that you want to touch, you can't touch without credit.
Right.
In real estate and stuff like that. So when he told me about you, and I never met you at this point in time. And he was like, yo, I'm about to buy this fucking crib. I'm like, you about to buy a house? Like, this is fucking, like, foreign to me. Like, nigga, you buying a house? We apartment niggas. Fuck is you talking about you buying real estate and stuff like that? So he's like, yo, bro, I found a crib, like, downtown Atlanta. You know, I'm about to buy this crib. I met this dude, you know, this nigga named Young Bleed. I say Young Bleed. This nigga is Young Bleed. Who the fuck is this nigga named Young Bleed selling real estate? Yeah.
It was Gigolo and Young Bleed.
Gigolo and Young Bleed. So I said, go word. I said, okay. So I kind of like sat back and just let it, you know, transpire. I didn't really like get involved. I didn't never really say like, yo, I want to meet this person because I'm still not, you know what I'm saying? I'm still like really just like, whatever, nigga. We in the drugs, bro.
Yeah.
We ain't in no real estate.
We in the streets.
We in the streets, bro. We in the getting keys of heroin in here. We ain't in the fucking real estate. We in the moving from apartment to apartment every year. You know what I mean? Once we get to one particular apartment and we stay for a certain period of time, we're gonna move. Because, you know, from what I learned from Brooklyn, you can't stay in a certain, you know, real estate. I say real estate.
Many apartments.
Apartment, because that's still real estate.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because somebody owned it, you know, and generated some type of capital off it. I say, like, you can't stay in this situation for so long. So I'm accustomed to just, like, going from apartment to apartment or just renting a house from somebody that has the knowledge of real estate and renting it to me.
Right.
So I said, let me see how this shit work out. You know what I mean? And it worked out for him. I was like, oh, wow.
You got your first crib, brand new crib.
Vicariously through my brother.
And it was in Stone Mountain.
And no, it was in Hardy Street. You got
The Hardy Street was his. Yours was in Stone Mountain.
Mine was in Stone Mountain.
In Stone Mountain.
We talking about an exception of you getting real estate. My exception of real estate, period, was through my brother, vicariously through my brother, you know, you being the broker.
Right.
And so then I got introduced to you, and I got a knowledge and a sense of real estate. You kind of enlightened me, like, yo, bro, like, we in our 20s. We're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you know, I owned my first property when I was like 23 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We was young.
Yeah, we was young. It's crazy. I'll be 53 in December. And it's like, you know, I don't own multiple properties and stuff like that. But, you know, coming from Brooklyn, you know, real estate was nothing that we was taught.
Right. And talk about the first real estate property you had. You remember?
Yeah.
I think it was for your birthday.
Yeah.
We was kicking it at the Shark Bar.
Yeah.
And at the Shark Bar, we found out it was some people in there had their eyes
Exactly.
on you. Had their eyes on us.
Exactly.
Let's just say we use the plural word.
Because I had got a property prior to meeting you, and you know, and during this one specific time, I was being investigated by the feds. They actually was on me for like 2 years prior to, you know what I mean, me acquiring the property with you.
Yeah.
Being a friend that you are, like, yo, bro, this nigga stuck with me through, like, you know, I come from Brooklyn. You get the feds is on you, bro. Niggas is just not fucking with you like that. You know what I mean? Because they don't know which way it's gonna go. And like you were steadfast, and you didn't waver. You didn't turn your back. You like really stood in front of the fire, and you was like, yo, bro, I got you. And I was like, okay, cool. And I let you know, like, yo, I got this property right here. It's like, yo, Dad, don't worry about that. I got somebody for that, and then I acquired my first property through you. And
right.
we stayed. We was neighbors for quite a time. You stayed in the phase of the subdivision.
That was your second property.
That was my second property? What?
That was your second property.
Yeah.
The first property, when you caught your case.
Yeah.
When I put you in the first property, you caught your case.
Stevenson High School for Rockbridge.
You caught your case.
Yeah.
And the word was there. But the thing is, you purchased real estate based off of the rewards that you reap from the streets.
Exactly. And it's crazy because it's like, you know, when you on the street and it's contingent on the environment that you're in and the people that you're associated with, whether you're gonna take these ill-solicited benefits, you know what I mean, meaning drug dealing and stuff like that, and take it to another level. It depends on who you're associated with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Fortunately enough for me, I was associated with you know, Pat, and all these other different dudes that was into like legal businesses.
Right.
That, you know, told me like, yo, bro, I'll get you this crib. Don't worry about it.
And here's the thing, we're gonna go back to speedball. I like to say speedball, we're gonna fast forward. You caught a case.
Facts.
It started where you really noticed, because you actually noticed them at your party at the Shark Bar on how they was paying attention to you.
Exactly.
Then you caught the case. You remember all y'all wives called me.
Exactly.
I don't know why I was the go-to person, but everybody called.
The legitimate person.
Right.
Too. And you was more in tune to legitimization of what we wanted to be. You was always what we wanted to be.
Right.
Even to this day, like, you know what I mean? We always look at you like you're the guru of what we wanted to be, and what you're like, it's just different with you, bro. Now, I can say it's different because we're not accustomed to people to a point where it's that, you know, have the business acumen that you have and the sense of business and stuff like that. I've never been around people that outside of you, like when I met you, like you, even though I met you through my brother, but I've never been around a legitimate business person. Everybody that I ever encountered was about drugs.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? So when I come, it was more so like, oh shit, this nigga's a street nigga?
X.
No, I'm saying at the point.
At the point I might have still been.
No, you could be a street nigga doesn't mean illegal. You're a street nigga because you transform yourself from being what you're accustomed to something that you master.
Well, you know what I say about that with street. Street hustlers are some of the most brilliant people.
Facts.
And not saying that disrespectful to people been to college.
Facts.
But when you're in them streets, you gotta understand, you gotta learn how to duck the niggas in the streets.
Facts. Police.
The robbers, the police,
Facts.
the jackers, the scammers, the women,
Facts.
and everything. You gotta know how to bob and weave. You follow what I'm saying? And you gotta have the endurance to last, because a lot of people don't actually last, because a lot of people have a certain tenure in the streets.
Exactly.
3-4 years, 5 max. Go catch a 20-year bid, and then come home and thinking that 3 or 4, 5 years that they lasted, they're supposed to still continue on.
And
With you getting caught up with your federal case, we're gonna talk about that briefly. You get caught up with your federal case. You had a house.
Exactly.
Okay, I need to get rid of the house, and then we put you in another house
Exactly.
that acquired you income to be put away while you was gone.
Exactly.
We talk, kind of elaborate on that and what you did with the income, into how you coming home to where you became morphed today. Because we can always glorify what you did in the street, but that's not what Pinpoint Park is about. It's about how, it's about real estate, and it's about how you change, and about where you at today, and what you got to say to the young folk, if you will. Because you're a great inspirational story. You know, on a podcast, you can only get so much out of your 50 plus years of living.
Exactly.
So talk about, you got in trouble, scratching your head. You in your first crib. You papered up, so you ain't worried about the, we sold your house, you bought another house, and then go from there.
The transformation for me was like, I got tired of running You know, when you on the run, this is the difference between being on a run without resources and being on a run with resources. I was fortunate enough to have resources and stuff like that. But, you know, your mind, your psyche play on you, you know, and the main thing that was a real thing for me was that, you know, the day that I got locked up, I mean, the day that I had to tell my daughter that, you know, I'm about to go away for like 10 years, 7 in and 3 out, was the day that I felt like, you know, this is something that I'm not trying to do no more. You know what I mean? Because the level of pain that I inflicted on her through my greed and aspirations to be somebody that's enamored through the street life was not in comparison to the hurt that she, you know, that she endured. You know what I mean? I remember sitting at her private school that one particular day and was like, yo, and telling her at the age of 10 years old, like, yo, I'm about to leave.
Let's talk about,
Hey,
right.
No. And then, like, what transformed me into saying that I'm not gonna be a victim of recidivism, like going back and forth to prison, is because I understood what I did. I understood that, you know, the level I did it on, and I understood that, you know, there's no like, you get the roses at the end of the road. Drug dealing, there's nothing at the end of the road for you for that. It's
Gangsterism.
Gangsterism, it's nothing. It's like
robbing, killing, stealing.
It's nothing. I've been amongst the illest people in amongst Brooklyn, bro. And I went against the all of them. You name them coming out of Brooklyn, and I want somebody that can honestly attest me to that. I've been through all that shit. So when I went to prison and being on the run for 10 years, that was a relief for me.
Peace. We'll go back to what we talked about
exactly.
with that word called peace, because peace is normally not associated, affiliated, or concentrated. The concentration is concentrate on having peace because you in this type of business.
My peace was being able to be me. Like, I was living a life of an alter ego. I done went to another state, acquired another ID, acquired another bank.
Another identity, you was somebody else.
I was somebody else. I had a bank account, house, all that stuff in another name. You know what I mean? And it was like, how am I going to fulfill who I am living a whole nother person's identity? So when I did get caught by the feds, it was a gift and a curse.
But let's say this here, gift and the curse is speedball on, because we most definitely going to do a second show.
Facts.
But let's talk about that. One thing about it, and I remember you got caught up.
Facts.
The family called and say, jail. Shorty, people kicking my house, this and this, this and this, this and this. You had a chance to say, I'm going to tell. I could attest for this. 'Cause I went to court with you. I took you. You said no. And I remember you told one of your fall partners.
Facts.
We don't call no name. One of your fall, I got a call and say, hey, tell baby boy about to go be a bird. Guy called you in the morning, got you up. We went over there about 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and said, you ain't gonna do that.
Right.
You would not compromise who you are.
Never that.
And you just always say,
Never that.
I knew what this was when I got in the streets. I knew one day this prison life would come.
Tell
me what made you the type of man that you are, was the honorable, respectable man. And like, cause I know a lot of people talk about snitching. You like, I'm not doing that. Ain't nobody in the crew doing that. We gotta accept whatever comes. Cause in the beginning it was 30,
exactly.
And it got slithered down cause nobody talked.
So yeah, because that's just who the Reids and Sterlings and everybody that been associated with us from Brooklyn to from the BK to the A. Like my thing is that like everybody that I've been associated with understood that what we was into. Like you know, if you reap the benefits, you gotta understand the thing that's the opposition of that. You know what I mean? We live lavish lifestyles off of this.
Been in shootouts.
Exactly.
One of your little bros,
Yeah,
Butchie.
yeah, Butchie.
You unfortunately, he was with you when he was in his first shootout.
Exactly. And it's crazy because it's like, given all the stuff that I've been through from Brooklyn to Atlanta, I was always willing to face the repercussions and the ramifications of my actions. I've never been in a situation when it comes to the law that I never copped out to. You know what I mean? Meaning like, oh, it was me. I don't know about nobody else. You know, from kidnapping to all types of stuff. I was locked up for kidnapping at the age of 18.
Right. That's why you couldn't never make it to a camp.
Exactly. This is why when I went to the feds, I was always I was in the high security, you know, environment because of what I did when I was younger, you know. And
And that jacket followed you.
Exactly. And it's not something to like, you know, to like I'm just
Glorifying it.
But it's just that, you know, the choices that you make when you're younger is always going to follow you when you're older. It's the way you handle them. So when I got caught by the feds, it wasn't something that I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'm going to tell on the nigga. Because who you going to tell on? What am I going to tell on, my fucking brother? Or
Right.
my family, my uncle, my cousin? Like, what the fuck am I going to tell on? Nigga, I'm not telling on nobody. And listen, I was willing to face 20-something plus years, bro.
They started off at 30.
Facts. And I was like, yo, let's roll, bro. You know what I mean? Why I was saying let's roll? Because I knew the lifestyle that I lived. I knew what I was into. I understood the ramifications. And I was willing to face them. And most people to this day not willing to do that. They don't want to just glorify the high, oh, we balling and this and that. Yo, when you in that shit and you balling, it's another flip side to that shit, bro.
Let's toast to that.
You know what I'm saying?
I always gonna toast to the real.
Facts, nigga. Like, my jacket is like, nigga, you can go to the Russell Building downtown Atlanta, nigga, get my shit. Like,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My shit gonna tell you, like, bro, I took my shit on the sleeve and I bounced. I did my time and I came home.
So now let's talk about when you came home. You got off the bus
Exactly.
and you morphed into who you are today.
No.
You're a law-abiding citizen.
No. Let's
You
talk
did your
about
time.
The support that I had when I was locked up. This man right here never wavered for me a day of my incarceration. From the time I got locked up, even on some other shit when I got locked up in the block, that nigga right there never wavered. And I know some niggas from New York that I grew up with, you get caught up by the feds, them niggas don't even fuck with you, bro. Cause they thinking you snitching. That nigga right there rolled me from the day I went into prison, and he was on a bus. The day before I went to prison, we had a party at his house, and the day I came out, that nigga was at the bus with my daughter.
Right.
Every month, that man sent me a motherfucking money.
Check. I sent you money every month.
Fact.
They made sure everybody at the office answer your calls.
And brothers go through shit, but at the end of the motherfucking day, listen, bro. Like this nigga right here, this is 30 plus years, bro. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like, you know, I think like this, right? I'm gonna keep it 100, right? When I went in prison, and I did what I did when in prison, I made sure that I didn't fucking get in trouble. You know, I programmed. You know what I'm saying? I worked out. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't do none of that shit. Why? Because the people that I felt like that was holding me down, I didn't want to let them down.
You didn't want to let down the people who's holding you down.
Nah, I don't want to let them down.
You got your credit straight because you was married.
Exactly. I came home. Yeah, this dude. Yeah, this chick just did some old crazy shit. I came home, got all my shit together, brought another crib, brought an investment property, like you said, wasn't the best situation to do, but I did it. You know what I mean? But you know, like he's always had me on a higher learning of real estate. This dude right here, this nigga been the real estate guru since we was like in the 20s, bro. You know what I mean?
I thank God for that. You know, he put people in situations
No, it's just natural.
to be.
No, it ain't something that you just went to school and learned. It's just natural though.
Yeah.
It's different when you just like you like some people are just good at basketball and some people learn basketball.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some people are just good at the field that they in. No, you're a master of your craft, and it shows. And
Appreciate that.
It's not something that's to be undermined. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because at every given time of each one of my brothers, everybody, my uncles, everybody, when there was a time in real estate, when or just in life in general in Atlanta, bro was the dude. Bro was the dude.
I appreciate that. We can toast to that.
Facts.
I can toast to that one. But you know, we'll be wrapping it up.
Yeah, listen. When I went to prison, the next day, say I got a fucking, don't worry about the house that I got locked up in. So I got to sell for your house and I'm going to put you in this house. And you're going to go in this house with equity. And you're going to leave motherfucking
We pull about 40K out.
40,000. Said nigga buried in the backyard, nigga.
Yeah, he didn't listen. He didn't listen. I say,
Yeah.
he said, I'm leaving with my wife. I said, I
Yeah.
know you got room for love in your heart.
Yeah, listen.
But hey, do not do it.
I was into flooring. I had no but listen, contingent on what I do today. No, I'm a solidified bus driver. I've been with Marta for 10 years, you know, and I'm blessed to be that. Because
And you ain't look back from the, go back to the
never,
street.
Never look back. I don't even. If you're in the street, I don't even fuck with you, bro. You know what I mean? If you're in the streets, I respect your hustle, because I'm a hustler. You know, and people get hustling mixed up. Hustling is not. It's not correlated to illegal activity. A hustler is a motherfucker that recognize the opportunity that's being presented to him and take advantage of it. You don't have to be a hustler and do everything illegal.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So like, I don't care if not, like I'd rather get a solidified check than have to wash my neck.
Right.
You heard? I've been through that shit. Like the more money you get, the more problems you have, and it's even worse when you're doing illegal activity.
Cause you ain't got no peace.
You don't got no peace. The much stuff I had. You talk about Rolexes, Cartier shit. Like Breezy, you know what type of level nigga was on.
Yeah.
It was with fucking bananas, but it wasn't conducive to my peace.
Right.
When I got locked up, them police knocked down my door, bro. They was like 40 deep in mask.
And they asked you your name, and you went on and told them.
I told him my real name, cause the nigga done
Timothy Reid.
The nigga gave him my alias.
Right.
Remember, me, you, and Frank hung out that night before.
Yeah.
We went to Justin's.
We went
Puppy
like
shit.
6, 7 different. We
strip
bought
club,
out.
and we went to the strip club, all that shit. And what I told you when we parked up before we was dropping each other off, what I said to you before, what I said to you and Frank.
You said something about I feel like
I had a dream
that you ain't gonna be here. Something done
I
happened.
had a dream the feds knocked my door down, bro.
And that same morning, the feds knocked your door down.
Facts.
So the dreams do come real. Dreams are something God's showing you what's in your future because He got His hand on you for something greater. That's how I look at it.
And the inedible is it's just in it, like. I don't want to make it seem like I'm a person that knock people for hustling, because I'm not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people got to get it how they live, and I respect that. You know what I mean? But I'm just a prime example of change. You know
And we'll wrap up with the change, and we're gonna come back with a part 2 with Shorty for sure.
Facts.
So with the change of your life, starting from Best-Eye, moving to Brooklyn Red Hook, getting bullied, become a bully, starting going to the guy's house, seeing a different lifestyle versus what you did with the black and white TV with the antenna, coming down on a run to Atlanta with your family, paying attention for a year, doing the mathematics on how everybody's moving. You see they far behind with the gold teeth and everything,
Right.
and then you hop into the as you say, engulf into the basically the illegal activity once again.
But you gotta think, right? Okay, I'm
Follow,
sorry, I'm
and
sorry.
then you come out. Then you become this person making money again, like you say, from $5,000 a week to $10,000 plus a day.
Mm-hmm.
Then you buying real estate, getting in trouble, selling the real estate, buying another piece of real estate, leaving it with your wife, coming back home to find out wifey gone, intentionally tried to fuck off your credit, intentionally tried to fuck off your credit. Get that? You never let nothing bring you down to where you got back to the person, I'm going back to the streets. And that's what the young generation don't understand
But
today.
you know why?
No matter what it is, you refuse. And knowing you're a stand-up guy, you ain't scary. You'll
Right.
bang out, you'll fight out, do whatever you gotta take for the respect.
Right.
And you didn't go back to the streets. Wrap that up and why you didn't go back to the streets and what advice would you give? We'll leave on that with Pinpoint Podcast to the young people who got money, ain't never been in the street, become millionaires, and then you act like you street and end up dead.
Well,
Remember I said
First-
act like you streets, because you can't be street, because if you're in the street, you want that peace.
because the main thing about it is that, you know, you gotta think it like this, right? And I said this to somebody the other day. This is crazy, right? Because like athletes want to be street niggas want to be athletes. That shit don't add up. You cannot have 1 feet in and 1 feet out. That shit gonna always turn out to be bad. You know, the main reason why I didn't want to go in the street, because I'm from the street. I know what it transpires, and I know me, and I understand like me being in the street and anything transpired that's street related. I'm not gonna take it to the point where it's gonna be harmful for me or my people. You know what I mean? I really didn't like what I was doing, bro. You know, when you don't like what you're doing and it's illegal, anytime you get a chance to get out of it, you're gonna go, bro. You know, my whole time in prison wasn't about gambling, smoking weed, drinking. I got in, listen, I spent...
Fucking with boys.
Yeah, we don't do gumps, nigga.
Yeah.
You already know that shit, boy. We don't play that game.
But you gotta, that's prison.
Yeah, that's prison. And I've seen that. You know what I mean? But like I fuck with a real ill crew coming out of Brooklyn in the feds. But you know, my thing was this, right? When you live, you learn. You know what I mean? Like if you have people that really care about you, and like you going to prison doesn't necessarily affect you. Like you gotta understand, like, you know, you gotta think outside of yourself. You know what I'm saying? When you do certain things, you know, it doesn't necessarily affect you. Like when you commit a murder, not only are you affecting the person that you killed, you're affecting your family.
And their family.
And their family, as yourself, as well as yourself. Because you're gonna go away from fucking 25 years or whatever. But at the end of the day,
25 to
when
life.
I went to prison, what was the main thing that changed me? Yo, bro, I was in prison almost 7 years, bro. They gave me 10 years. I could have got 30, like bro said. You know what I mean? Contingent on my criminal record. But I did 10 years in the nucleus of the United States government. You know, that's with time in and time out. My daughter's face was something that I said I would never allow myself to see again in that aspect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Money, material, come on, bro, please. You know, I have Rolexes, Cartier shit, houses, all that shit.
Cars.
We was BMF before BMF even started, bro.
Right.
Let's keep it 100.
Right.
Let's keep it 100. But when they came, it was on a whole different level.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I understood what I seen before I went in. So I understood what I was going into. And I understood that when I went into this situation, that I can't come out the same person that I went in. So when you understand most recidivism comes from a person that don't understand what they're going in for. And they blaming somebody else for why they're going in. So therefore they try to come and recap of what they once was. You know what I mean? Once you understand that you are not who you are going in, once you understand that you're not going to be the same person coming out as you once went in, then I understood that I'm not going to have the Rolex no more.
Right.
I understood that I'm not going to, not unless I legitimately get it.
And on that note, he said legitimately get it,
Right.
meaning who you were when you went in.
You know,
It all depends on what you do while you're in to come out to be a different man, to be reborn again, basically.
And that's the essence of a hustler.
Right, and that's the essence of a hustler. Because you could take anything
and make $1 out of it.
and make $1 out of it.
But why? Because I seen that from my uncles. Because them niggas used to go sell T-shirts in Manhattan and
Right.
and TDK tapes.
Right,
I used to wait for these niggas to come back and give me money. My brothers in them.
right.
You see what I'm saying? So.
And with that said,
Okay.
No. With that said, we're gonna wrap it up with Pinpoint Podcast. We most definitely want y'all to tune back in to a part 2 with Shorty, because you got 50 plus years of living. You can't get it all in about an hour and a half, 2 hours max. So what we want to do is just the gist of this is what he's trying to share with you guys. Everything that he went through morphed him to the man he is today. Because sometimes you got to go through things to be who you are today,
And then,
but not to glorify
no doubt. And then
the transgressions.
And you gotta have somebody such as J.L. Menefee, Pinpoint Foundation, in order to, be there by your side, right, wrong, and indifferent. If you don't got somebody that's there for you, right, wrong, and indifferent, in order for you to allow you to transform into this person that you are really.
Nah, we really appreciate that. I ain't expect you to say that, but I thank you.
Facts. I wouldn't be. I'm not bleezy. I'm not. This is no bullshit. This is no cap.
Right.
Like, bro, you gave me. You put me in positions to be to flourish, bro. When I came, listen. When I came home to your house.
Right.
I had nowhere to go. I could have went back to Brooklyn. It was your house or Brooklyn.
Right. Well, I like to say about that, I thank God that he placed me in a position to be able to be there
This is why I
for
say,
people like me, because I don't like to take no glory.
No.
I always blame God for the good things that I do.
Listen, bro. You know you're a motherfucker to deal with too, though, bro.
Yeah.
We ain't even gonna fuck with. We ain't even gonna play games. we ain't gonna sit here like you got there. You motherfucker. You know, nigga. You're a monster to deal with. But at the end of the day, you are a God-given person, bro. You know what I mean? Everybody has the way that they deal, the way that they are. But at the end of the day, you're more giving. You're an altruistic person. And if you don't know what altruistic means, it means that a person that gives more than they want to receive. They don't want to receive shit. He got everything. Fuck he want. And you always have since I known him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, with that said, I would thank y'all. Hey, but I do want to appreciate everybody out there to take the time to tune into the Pinpoint Podcast. Y'all can find us. You can listen to the full story of Shorty. We're coming with a part 2.
Yeah.
You listen to a full story of Shorty on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. We're gonna be on YouTube. Y'all can tune in to our YouTube, Pinpoint Foundation. That's PEN space POINTE space Foundation. That's our YouTube channel. We'd like for y'all to like and subscribe and really listen to it, and hope you grab a message out of it. Because at Pinpoint Podcast, all things of real estate, and it's not just about us talking to people that you might recognize, but you got to talk to other people who already done had things already done been places where you want to go, where you want to be, and where you done been. You feel what I'm saying? It's just not all about a certain group of people. There's other people out here that been through things, that had money, and hey, changed their life for whatever reason, whatever happened in their life. And Pinpoint Podcast, I wish we could stay a little longer.
Can I say something?
But go ahead. Because we're going to toast out.
Okay.
We're going to give Shorty the last word.
No, I just want to say this, right? You know, some people, like, you know, they think that, you know, changing their life has to be in congruence to what they accustomed to, like the lavish lifestyle. Changing the life means just normalcy, no threat to your life, no worry about nothing. You can be able to really focus on investing in real estate. You know what I mean? You don't gotta invest in real estate in passing. Like, oh, yo, hold on, here goes some bread. Yo, go invest in that property. No, you can, like, change your life. Get some type of normalcy, you can really focus on becoming a real estate investor, a real estate agent, a motherfucking what's the people that does the do the house shit, Bleezy?
The loan officers, mortgage brokers.
No, what's
the lenders?
What's the people that do the go over and do the property and then do the
appraisals, inspections. So many aspects of the real estate business that you could be a part of.
Most drug dealers want to be something that is outside of drug dealing.
Right.
They just don't have the time to do it because they're so much on the run.
Right.
I'm not on the run no more, bro.
There you go. Hey, peace of not being on the run. And we're going to close this out with Pinpoint Podcast with peace. We're going to, hey, there you go.
And love, bro.
We're going to do peace. Hey, we hope you guys enjoyed the Pinpoint Podcast. Most definitely tune in to part 2 because we got more to speak about to Mr. Reid, a.k.a. Shorty, a.k.a. Shamee, who's been through life and adversity. Like I said, we can't put it all in one. But we hope you guys enjoyed the Pinpoint Podcast. And we're looking to see you guys right after with part 2 with Mr. Reid.